Sorry I haven't been able to make videos lately. I lost my voice for like a week. I'm just barely able to speak now. So I hope I don't get like a cough attack when I'm reading. But yeah, this one's a pretty short one, I think. So yeah, hopefully I get through it. I have some tea here, so okay. So this one's called The Angel. Whenever a good child dies, an angel descends from heaven, takes the dead child in its arms, spreads out its great white wings, and flies to all the places which were dear to the child, where it gathers a handful of flowers, which are carried up to God and planted. The merciful Father presses all the flowers to his heart, but the flower he likes best he kisses, and then it obtains a voice and can join in the song of the blessed. That was what an angel told a dead child whom it was carrying up to heaven, and the child listened as if in a dream, while they visited the places where the child had played, and floated through the gardens full of lovely flowers. Which shall we take with us to be planted in heaven? Said the child. There stood a pretty rose tree, which an evil hand had broken, so that the boughs full of great half-open buds hung down withered. Poor tree, exclaimed the child, let us take it with us, so that it may bloom in heaven. And the angel took it, kissing the child for its thought, whereby it opened its eyes. They gathered some gorgeous flowers, but also some simple ones, as for instance the common daisy and the wild pansy. Now we have flowers, said the child, and the angel nodded, but still they did not fly up to heaven. It was night, and everything was silent. They were still in the great city, floating through one of the narrowest streets, where there lay bundles of straw, bits of crockery, rags, and an old hat, for the people had moved that day. And the angel pointed among all these remains to the fragment of an old flower pot and a little lump of mold which had fallen out of it, but was still held together by the roots of a common field flower. It was of no value, and they had therefore been thrown out into the street. We will take this with us, said the angel. I will tell you stories while we fly. So they flew, and the angel told this story. Down in that narrow street, in the low cellar, lived a poor boy who was ill. He had been in bed since he was quite a baby, and when he was at his best could only crawl about in the little room on crutches. That was all. For a few days during the summer, rays of the sun fell for half an hour into the porch of the cellar, and when the little boy sat there in the sun, looking at the red blood in his emaciated hands, which he held before the sun, it was said, today he has been out. He knew the woods in their lovely greenness only through the first branch of the beech tree, brought him in the spring by the son of a neighbor, and this he fastened over his bed, and then dreamed that he was under the trees where the sun shone and the birds sang. One spring day his friend brought him some field flowers, among which was one with a root, and he placed it in a flower pot in the window, close to his bed. It became the loveliest garden to the child, his only treasure on earth. He watered and tended it, and took every care that it should have every ray of the sun to the very last in the window. And the flower grew in his dreams, for it bloomed for him and gladdened his eye. Toward it he turned when God called him to his heavenly rest. For a year he has been with God, and for a year the flower stood in the window, unheeded and forgotten, till it has been cast into the street as useless. And this is the poor withered flower in our bouquet, for it has afforded more happiness and delight than the most gorgeous in the garden of the queen. But how do you know all this? Said the child whom the angel was carrying up to heaven. I know it, said the angel, for I myself was that suffering little boy on crutches. I have not forgotten my flower. And the child opened its eyes wide, looked into the lovely and happy face of the angel, and the same moment they floated into heaven, where joy and gladness reign, and the godfather pressed the little child to his heart, when it obtained wings like the other angel, and flew about with it in hand in hand. Then the Lord pressed the flowers to his heart, but the poor common field flower he kissed, and it had a voice, and could sing with the other angels who floated about the Lord, some quite near, others behind them, and some far, far away, but they were all equally happy. And they sang, great and small, the good child and the poor field flower, which had lain withered in the dust among the rubbish in the dark, narrow street. So that's the illustration. Lots of pink. I like pink. Get some tea. So that's it.